Alright, so thank you for clicking on this video. This is going to be a rapid 40 tips for Wuthering Waves. If you'd like, you can play the video on 0.75x speed, but hey, here we go. Alright, so the first tip is to use your wave plates as quickly as possible. You can use them, for example, for like Resonator XP or Weapon XP, but I'd also recommend doing these weekly challenges because they'll reset once a week and you can only do them 3 times. So you want to get these rewards as soon as you can. And on that note, use these crystal solvents. Don't save them for Wuthering Waves 2. Use them as soon as you can. Alright, so tip number 3, you want to raise your union level as quickly as possible. This will allow you to raise your Soul 3 phase, which will give you more rewards, in addition to giving you these level bundles, which I have all of them, so I can't really show you them, but they give you some asteroids, they give you a bunch of rewards, and also you do this by rushing main quests, side quests, such as this one. You can see here I have these Union XP, I already obtained it, so anytime you see this, you want to get as much of it as possible. Alright, so the next tip is to level up your data bank as quickly as possible. At level 21, you are guaranteed to get a 5-star echo every single time that you get an echo, and you will also have a 100% enhanced drop rate for Overlord and Calamity class echoes, meaning that you are guaranteed to get them when you kill that Overlord or Calamity class echo. Okay, so tip number 5, the fastest way to level up your data bank level is to look through your echo gallery, sort by XP progress, flip this. Now, of course, I have all the echoes, so I can't really show you what it looks like, but if it is blacked out, that means that you didn't ever obtain it, and if you obtain it, then you'll at least get 10 XP, and of course, if you have a guaranteed 3 rarity, meaning a blue echo, you'll get 20. If you have a guaranteed purple, then you'll get 35. If you have a guaranteed gold, then obviously you're going to get all the XP that you can. Now, if you want a specific echo from a specific set, for example, a 3-cost Electro type of echo from the Void Thunder set, you can come here and then, for example, I believe this is a 3-cost, so you can go ahead and kill this 3-cost echo. You can detect it, it'll show you where it is, and then you can go after it and hunt it. Alright, now tip number 6 is all about echoes. Echoes are basically like gear that your character equips. They have a main stat, they have substats, but only if you level them up and then add the substat. They come in multiple cost varieties, so you have 1 cost, 3 cost, and 4 cost, and if you level up your data bank to the max level, you can have at most 12 costs in total. So for example, this is a 4-cost echo, plus 3, so now we have 6, plus 1, that's 12. So I can't add any more echoes than this, and I can't, for example, have like 3 cost, and another 2 3 costs. I have a limit of 12. Now, usually people do either 4, 3, 3, 1, 1, or you could do 4, 4, 1, 1, 1. In case you don't know why you would want to do that, well, 3 costs are a little bit rare, so you might want like a specific type of 3 cost. So like, let's say a Void Thunder one, meaning that you're using a Electro type of DPS, and you would want Electro damage bonus on your 3 cost. Okay, you wouldn't want Spectro damage on your 3 cost, so that is obviously a mismatched set. This is a set that increases your Electro damage, so why would you want a Spectro damage bonus? So that is why it's a little bit hard to find 3 costs that match your set, so you might just want to use 1 costs, but obviously a 3 cost is generally going to be better. I would recommend for DPSs, you generally want 3 costs that have the same element to be maxed out, but you could also go with 1 Electro damage bonus 3 cost, in addition to like a 3 cost that has like attack percent, such as this one. That's sort of totally fine. Now, the way that they work is that you can upgrade them, you can add by step. This will level it up to plus 5, and each 5 levels you can tune the echo. Now, I have a video on how to tune it correctly and how to not waste too many tuners, but for now I'm just gonna tune this, and oh, I got defense. This is terrible for a DPS. And now if you want to reroll it, you can do upgrade, and you can put the echo right there, and this way you get 75% of the XP that you used on that echo, in addition to getting 3 tuners back for every tuner that you use. If I press confirm, it's going to give me 3 tuners back. I'm not really going to do that for now, but you get the point. Alright, so tip number 7, you can use some Echo XP and Echo tuners on non-gold echoes. Just don't try to get like a perfect like blue echo. Just level it once, max it out, put all the tuners in there, and then just don't try to get a better one until you get to the gold echoes, because first of all, you can only have 5 substats on gold echoes. So for blue, you can only have, I believe, 3. So that's just not good. It's just not worth spending too much on. If you can try to avoid it, that would be better. Alright, so tip number 8, you need to know that the XP required to level up echoes is exponential. So for plus 10, we needed 20,000. Well, we actually need a little bit less, but let's just say 20,000. And for plus 20, we need 80,000. And for max, we actually need 145,000. Again, a little bit less than that. So you don't want to do this. You want to go to +10 first, use the tuners, see if you got some good rolls, and then go for the other 3. Because if the first 2 are bad, then you can at most have 3 good stats in the bottom 3, which is just gambling. It's very unlikely. So you want to go for the first 2. If you get like 1 good stat, whatever it may be, then you can do the next 2. If you get 1 or 2 good stats, then that's amazing, and then you can go for the 5th one, and hopefully it's a good stat. All right, so tip number 9, you don't want to waste your asteroids on lustrous tides. They are the worst thing to use your asteroids on, as this is not the limited banner. You want to use radiant tides or forging tides. These are just objectively better in every way. Don't waste any single asteroid on lustrous tides. You're going to get more than enough throughout the game. All right, so tip number 10 is about when to use your gambling currency. If you want these 4-star resonators, you want to gamble. And if you want the character on the limited banner or maybe the weapon, then you also want to gamble. If you don't, then you can save it for the next banner that shows up. All right, so tip number 11. This game has a pity counter, meaning that if I pulled for this weapon 80 times, I'm guaranteed to get it. This is not true for limited banners, where there is a 50-50 chance to get either the character on the banner or to get one of the basic characters. Now, if you do get one of the basic characters in the 80 pulls, then the next 80 pulls is guaranteed to give you a limited character. This means that you need effectively 160 pulls to guarantee that you get the limited character. You're probably going to get it earlier, but you know, you also might fail the 50-50. On that note, both the 50-50 and the pity counter transfers to the next banner. So for example, if I pulled, let's say 80 times, I got the 50-50 to fail, and then I pulled 40 more times and I still didn't get the character, the next character that shows up, let's say this is like a new character after 16 days, I still have 40 convenes that I need to get the 50-50, and because I already failed the 50-50 on this character, the next banner that I go for will guarantee me a limited character. Also, for these 2 banners, for example, the pity counter is shared. Same thing is true for these ones. If I pulled 40 here and then I pulled 40 here, I'm guaranteed to get this weapon. So not only are they shared, but they're also shared between different updates. So if there's a new limited banner, you can continue the pity counter from there. As for the next tip, if you want to check where you are with your pity, you want to go to the banner that you want to check, press this button, and then look at the convene records, and as you can see here, I got Jinshi over here. That means that I am 5 pulls closer to my 80 pity. So now I need 75 more pulls to guarantee a 50-50. Now, out of the 5 basic resonators that you can get, Verena is generally the best, Encore is pretty good, Lingang is the worst, and the other 2 are like, I don't know, 50-50. On that note, you probably want to use your beginner's choice convene on Verena. I don't have it, so I can't really show it to you. Now, as for the 5 basic weapons that you can get, the Static Mist and the Emerald of Genesis are the best. This is simply because they have a crit rate, and you can actually choose which one you want. So you're not randomly going to get one of the 5. You can actually choose the Emerald of Genesis, for example. You can give this to your Rover, you can give it to Dungeon, you can give it to basically any sword using character. It's pretty good. Crit rate, the other 3 are pretty much terrible. Alright, so for tip number 16, on how you want to use these tides, remember, you don't want to buy them, first of all, and you'll get a whole bunch as you do the main quest and as you do a bunch of events and so on and so forth. You want to get either the Winter Broomsword or the Static Mist if you're using like Rover or Chisha. They're both pretty decent, but I would get the Emerald of Genesis first, and then later on at level 45, you can actually choose a 5-star weapon of your choice, so I guess that could be the Static Mist. As for the second thing that you want to use your tides for, it's probably going to be the beginner's choice convene. Again, I don't have it, so I can't show it to you, but you want to use it to get Verena, and you know, later on you could start doing this title chorus. You know, personally I really want Encore, so I'm probably not gonna get it. But yeah, you know, you want to use all that remains probably on the title chorus. I wouldn't really waste it on the weapons, but I mean, it's up to you. Alright, so for tip number 17, in general, when you pull for weapons, you want a weapon that can be used by multiple characters as much as possible. For example, the String Master, which is Yin Lin's weapon, can be used by Zhezha, and it can be used by Encore. It's a rectifier, it has a 36% crit rate, so it's pretty good. It could be used by pretty much any character. The Static Mist, 24.3% crit rate, I could use it on Mortifi, I could use it on Chisha. It works. Same thing with the Emerald. Same thing with Ages of Harvest. Now, of course, getting the character's main weapon, for example, this is Shangliao's main weapon, the Verity's Handle. The Ages of Harvest is Jinshi's main weapon. So that's obviously better for them because the attributes are generally good specifically for them. For example, this one boosts resonance skill damage quite a lot. On the other hand, the String Master, I mean, it is specifically for coordinated attackers, so that doesn't really work with Encore, but it does work with Zhezha. So in general, this is a pretty damn good weapon to get. Now, of course, the exception for crit rate and crit damage is energy regen for support. So this weapon works better with Shorekeeper, it works well with Verena, but not quite all that well. All right, so for tip number 18, 4-star characters are not bad. Sanwa, for example, can be used with so many teams. She just works everywhere. She's so fast at regenerating Concerto, at regenerating her Liberation. She's just such a good character. Chixia and Danjin can pretty much like solo the Tower of Adversity all on their own. Danjin is just crazy. Of course, she's a very high skill character, but still, I use Chixia, for example, to clear 5 floors of the Tower of Adversity. Tip number 19. 4-star weapons are horrible. This weapon is like 80% as good as the Static Mist. It's just so bad. Even when fully upgraded, it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. The only exception to this is the Variation and Overture. These are weapons that give you energy regen, and they restore your Concerto energy when you use resonance skills. So they are actually really good for Verena and for Sanwa. They make them super easy to use. So these weapons are actually perfect. Never discard them. And in general, like, try not to use 4 stars for XP. There's really no point. So yeah, these are good. Everything else, any DPS related 4-star, terrible. So tip number 20, the only thing you need to know about the store is in the item exchange and the oscillated corals. Now you get these from convening. You get it from pretty much anytime you obtain a 4-star item, I believe. Now you need to use this to get some pulling currency. Now of course I don't have it here because I already grabbed it, but you'll get 7 of each every single month. And I believe it costs around a total of like 1,500 of this to be able to get all of them. So I would recommend only using it for the currency in general, and don't use it for all of this other stuff. This would be a pretty massive waste, I would argue. All right, so tip number 21. Use the Pridwin site. It is so good. You can check out every single character, check out all the echoes, and then their sets. Check out this tier list. It's generally pretty good. These are obviously the best characters, but it will also tell you, like, hey, you know what? Maybe try out Sanwa. Maybe try out Mortefi. Maybe check out Danjin. They're all pretty good. Tip number 22, know what substats to go for when it comes to your Echo. Pridwin helps with this. In general, for DPS characters, you want either crit damage or crit rate. For the 3 costs, you want the element that they use. And for the 1 costs, attack percent every single time. Now for the substats, for example, with Zhezha, you want some energy regeneration until you sort of reached a pretty good break point. Then you would want crit rate and crit damage, both pretty good. And then we'd want basic attack damage being pretty much just as good as attack percent, and then flat attack at the very end. You can always check this out for every single character. Tip number 23, your energy regen stat only affects your energy liberation or your character's ultimate, such as this one.
Like frigid death.
That little bar in the bottom right is only going to be regenerated faster if I had higher energy regen. If my energy regen was 0, it would be regenerated at sort of the default rate. Now for tip number 24, multiple things can increase your Concerto energy, including dodging. So as you can see, oh whoops, okay, well I still dodged that. As you can see, my Concerto energy is increasing without doing any damage. All I'm doing is dodging attacks. Yep, that's pretty much it. Most actions will increase your energy regen, and you can use it to obviously use after skills and so on. Tip number 25, try to have matching teams for the character that you're using. For example, with Shang Liao, I could go to gameplay and teams, and would you look at that? For example, I could use him with Shorekeeper, I could use him with Yin Lin. Yin Lin boosts electro damage, that's why this is the best team. You'd have a support, which increases your damage, you'd have an electro damage enhancer, and you have Shang Liao, the electro DPS, and so on and so forth. Now tip number 26, and this relates to tip number 25, you want to understand how the character that you're using works. For example, Mortefi is a coordinated attacker, but that's not all. You need to specifically know that he launches 1 of his coordinated attacks when you do a basic attack, and he launches 2 when you use a heavy attack. So if we already know that, for example, Jian mostly uses heavy attacks, we know that this is probably a good combo. But wait a minute, what about like Jinshi? Jinshi actually mostly does skill damage. When she goes into her like cool form, she's only dealing resonance skill damage. She does not actually deal basic attack damage. And in general, you're not going to be using a heavy attack with Jinshi. So Mortefi is a terrible person to put with Jinshi. Alright, so tip number 27. Unfortunately, there are some hidden chests in this game, which is kind of cool, but sometimes kind of annoying. For example, right here, you can find this dog. Now, I can't really interact with them because I already got the chest, but you can actually come here, press dig, and a chest will show up. Sometimes there might be a hidden chest in the middle of 5 breakable objects. Sometimes, you know, all sorts of things can happen. So if you ever see like a circle of objects, go there, try to break all the objects, and maybe in the middle of that, a chest will show up. It's impossible for me to show you every single location within like 2 minutes. So just know that there could be some hidden chests. So tip number 28, Overlord and Calamity class bosses drop an echo every second time you kill them. So if I kill the boss over here one time and then I don't get the echo, the second time I am guaranteed to get the echo. And then the one after that, I'm not guaranteed, and then the one after that, I am guaranteed to get it. Now, tip number 29, when it comes to these echoes, you can actually farm them on a lower difficulty. If I press level 70, for example, it will say that I will not obtain any echoes, but on level 80, it just says insufficient wave play, cannot get rewards. So actually, if you're only farming for echoes, you can just do it over here. You don't even need wave plates. You can just go in, farm the echo over and over again. This will save you a lot of time because obviously this one is 10 levels lower. So tip number 30, there are actually so many echoes in this game that have different properties and different abilities. For example, there's a 3-cost echo that can automatically parry for you if the boss is doing a parryable attack. Unfortunately, you pretty much only use 4-star echoes because even this one
Here comes a helper.
basically allows you to parry for a 1-second window. All you need to do is use that, and if the boss hits you while those things are spinning, it will automatically parry for you. So yeah, even though there are a lot of echoes with a lot of special properties and maybe they look cool, in general, you're only going to be using 4-cost echoes. So yeah. Alright, so tip number 31. You want to learn how to swap cancel. It is extremely easy. All you have to do is to use the echo that you want and then swap to a different character. So now I'm going to use this Heket and I'm going to swap to Jinshi.
Here comes
As you can see, I'm using the echo while I'm using Jinshi. So now I can also do it with Jinshi. I'll swap to Verena.
Take 4.
As you can see, okay, there he is. He's doing damage while I'm just chilling over here. You always want to do this with some characters because, I mean, it's just more efficient. This one gives a damage boost to everybody, so switch, go to that one. If you want to parry, use this, and then go to Jinshi, and then, you know, just swap as quickly as possible. It's sometimes very good, depending on what you're doing and what you need. Tip number 32. As of 2.0, a new set of echoes has showed up, and they're called Nightmare Echoes. Nightmare Echoes are just a sort of upgraded version of previous echoes that are just generally objectively better. So if we look at the Void Thunder set, this is the old Thundering Mephis, and he just kind of sucks. You need to completely use him. It says here, after the final hit, increase the current character's electro damage by 12%, and so on and so forth. But with this one, it just says, hey, the resonator with this echo equipped in their main slot gains 12% electro damage bonus and 12% resonance liberation damage bonus. So it's just objectively better in every single way. So if you want to use electro DPS characters, you want to come over here, farm this bad boy, and try to get a good echo from this region. Alright, so tip 33. When it comes to resonance chains, in general, for 4-star characters, you want to aim for 6 copies because it's fairly easy to get them to 6. You kind of do that from convening for limited characters. And for limited characters, well, you could try and aim for S1. S1 is pretty good for the most part. For example, with her, when you cast Intro Skill Discernment, no longer ends the existing Stellar Realm. So that's pretty good. It's not necessarily going to be always worth it, but it might make it a lot easier to use the character. And of course, you can just try to get as many copies of your favorite character as you'd like. This is like a 15% damage boost. This one makes the character generally easier to use. And this one, again, it's maybe like another 15% damage boost. It's all pretty much worth it. And the further you go, the more insane the power gets. So with limited characters, if you get S6, Jinshi with S6 would be like 100% stronger than her base form. So, you know, this is pretty much whale territory. If you want to spend a lot of money, you can get all the way here. But I'm a completely free-to-play player, so. Now, tip number 34, and this is a much more general tip, but if you just don't care about beating the Tower of Adversity, you pretty much don't really need a good team. Like, this is the hardest content in the game, including the pincer maneuver to a certain extent, although that one is much easier. You really don't need much, and even when it comes to the Tower of Adversity, even completing one tower will give you a lot of crests and give you a lot of astrites. You should generally aim for like 21 or 24 crests, but beyond that, you really don't need to complete every single tower. It is not necessary. And speaking of the tower, tip number 35, you can use a single character such as Chishya on multiple floors. For example, I use Shishi on floor 1, floor 3, go over here, use her on every single floor over here. This way you use all of her energy and and complete the most amount of towers. Of course, you're going to need a single character to just, fill that gap with 2 points. And of course, if you use 2 points or 2 energy for the second tower, you can use that character twice in a row on the last boss, because this costs 4 vigor. Here it costs 2, so that's 6. If you come over here, you can use that character again. Of course, I didn't need to in this case, but you really want to use a certain character, you can use him for, use him that way. All right, so tip number 36. If you want a specific ascension material, you can click on it and then look for the source. In this case, for example, I want to actually go and get it. So there you go. It will reveal them on the map, and you can go and collect them. Alright, now tip number 37, and this is more of a fun one. But yeah, you don't take any damage from plunging attacks. Boom. No fall damage whatsoever. So tip number 38, always check the events tab. You might have something that you didn't do that could give you a whole bunch of rewards. Oh, would you look at that right here? You could do this trial, you'll get 20 astrites. Also, every single time there's a new limited banner, there's always going to be some rewards that you can get by just going over here, get some astrites. Might as well do that, Alright, so tip number 39. If you want to batch merge your echoes, you can do this more efficiently by, for example, selecting a Sonata set, so let's say Molten Rift. And obviously, because it's a fire type of damage set, then I do not want Electro, Havoc, Spectro, Glacio, Aero, and maybe a few others, but let's just go with these for now. So this one's obviously terrible. This is a set that increases your fusion damage, but this is something that gives me extra havoc damage. So I could just merge these guys because, again, they're completely useless. Batch merge, and we get a new echo. Of course, if you have more echoes, this will be much more efficient. And you can do the same thing with any set of stats that don't make sense. For example, rejuvenating glow, you probably don't need crit rate and crit damage. So we can get rid of these, put crit rate, crit damage. I guess I might as well put these as well, because, I don't need these either. Oh boy, would you look at that. These are all completely useless. Select all, batch merge. So yeah. And for my final tip, and this is probably the most important one, but have fun. If you did not pull the character that you wanted, don't stress out. Keep playing the game. Explore the beautiful world. And yeah, just have fun. Now, if you've enjoyed watching this video, then a like and sub would be greatly appreciated. And have a fantastic rest of your day.